Squad up, haters down, haters down. If you ain't about that life, don't come around, don't come around. Got the crowd, gone wild, gone wild. Tell me what you know about that Memphis style,
Yo, y'all know what time it is. Y'all know what time it is, man. It's the Memphis Jelks Show. I want to start this show off, man, a little bit different, man, because I messed around and turned the news on this morning. This afternoon. And I just want to start this show off, man, with just a moment of silence for the tragedy in Minnesota, man. Man, it's sad, man. We got some sad people in this world, man, who just, they doing crazy things, man. And I just want everybody out there, man, if you're watching the show tonight, man, to pray for the people of Minnesota and just pray for everybody, man, because we just never know, like, when or where things like this may happen these days. It's just so much going on. With that being said, man, y'all know what tonight is, don't y'all? Wealthy Wednesdays with Ryan Henning. Y'all already know, man. Normally I'll try to, keep it a secret who the guest is tonight, man. But hey, tonight we doing it a little bit different, man, because y'all know who I got with me.
Drums, please.
Oh!
What's up, man?
Oh, man, how's it going, man?
Man, it's going fantastic, man. If I was doing any better, I couldn't stand it.
Man, if I had your hands, I'll cut mine off.
Oh, man.
Yo, what's going on in the Chi?
Man, listen, it's summertime is seeming like it's over. We woke up this morning, it was 54 degrees. So, man, but everything's going good here, man. Listen.
My bad.
Nah, you good,
I'm
man.
trigger finger happy tonight. Go ahead. What were you about to say?
Man, but everything going good, man. Everything's going good here in the Chi, man. We enjoying this weather, man, while we can. That snow will be on the way in a minute.
That's a blessing. We got Miss Sybil Presley in the house tonight.
Drums, please.
Miss Sybil Presley in the house tonight. Hey, the pothole lady in the house tonight.
Hey.
Thank you for joining. For joining. Man, so yeah, man, I wanted to start the show off just a little bit different tonight, man. There's tragedy happening all over, man. And in Minnesota, it was just a tragic situation that happened today.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. And I hadn't even had a chance to watch the news to kind of like catch up on what happened. I just kind of like saw the updates on my phone or whatever. But man, man. It's always, anytime we have any mass shootings, man, in any place, in any, no matter whether it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 3,000, 5,000, man, there's just never any place for anything like that, man. So it's always a tragedy, especially when it's kids, man, taking the lives of kids, man, who going to school, just trying to, get educated. They thought they were waking up to go to school to have a great day and, to be welcome to a site like that, man. It's never good, man.
It's never good. I made a song when I was younger. It was called School Killings. And every time I see like a situation like this occur, I wonder like if my song would have like blown up bigger at the time, could that have helped like maybe curve some of it? Because it's a really great record and stuff. Sometimes I feel like, man, should I re-release that song because it keeps reoccurring.
Man, I think any positive energy into the atmosphere, man, any positivity that people can reach out and grab, man, it doesn't matter whether it's, one person, 2 people, 3 people, 10,000 people, man. I think sometimes it's about, making your deposit into the positivity into society. So, yeah, maybe it needs to be re-released, man. Maybe it'll touch and reach somebody who can be impacted by that, who can, listen to that song and let it resonate on their hearts, man, and to shift how they think and to shift how they process things. So, I think any positive thing you put into the atmosphere, man, has an impact.
Thank you, oh man. Thank you, man. And Miss Sybil Presley said, yes, re-release the song.
Yeah, we appreciate that, Miss Presley.
Yep. I'm going to re-release it just because Miss Presley asked.
Yeah.
She was on the show recently. Y'all go back and check that episode out, man.
Fix
the
them potholes.
lady. Yeah, they got to fix them potholes. And we want that the blue asphalt on Elvis Presley Boulevard. We want that. That's a must. Memphis, wake up. Yo, without further ado, man. Well, before I announce tonight's guest, who's really not even a guest anymore, he's a mainstay.
Yeah.
On the Memphis Jelks show, and it's a blessing and an honor to have him, because his knowledge goes like well beyond like what other people bringing to the table. You know what I'm saying? So it's an honor and a blessing. Last time he was on here, we got about 12,000 views.
Hey, listen, man, he bring them out, man. He bring them out.
Yes, because he knows what he's talking about. You know what I'm saying? And he's not only just talking the talk, but he's walking the walk.
Yeah, man. I think we're in a time where people want to hear messages about becoming wealthy. When you look around and how things are going in society, man, ain't no time like the present in order to, make your contribution to being wealthy in this environment. And so I think this is a much needed series, man. And I'm glad he wanted to come on and do it.
Me too. I am too. We're definitely blessed to have them. So all the viewers out there, if you're on Facebook, share. You know what I'm saying? If you're on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah.
If you're on Twitter, retweet. That's my favorite. I don't know why I think I don't know. Retweet sounds so funny to me. But anyway, LinkedIn, if you're on LinkedIn, you know what I'm saying, man, pull all your colleagues in, man.
If they want to be wealthy.
Yep, exactly. So without further ado, y'all already know what time it is. Don't make me do it again.
Drums, please.
Ryan Henning is in the building.
Welcome to the Memphis Jelks show.
What's going on, fellas? What's going on, audience? How y'all feeling?
Man, I'm feeling dang good, man.
Yeah,
especially now that we got you back in the building.
Man, look, stop, man. Stop the madness, man. Look, I'm just happy to happy to be here. Happy to be. I said essentially, like I feel like family because we are family. But
I can't prepare.
Exactly.
I can't prepare this week. I can't prepare this week.
Not the pen in the pad.
I'm prepared this week, baby.
Look, y'all spoiling me right now. Y'all spoiling me.
Man, so I want everybody to know that the phone lines are open tonight. 901-410-0123. You see it on the screen, but some people don't. Some people, they see it on the screen, but then they still be asking me like, "How do I call in to the show?" Dude,
it's on the bottom of the screen.
It's on the bottom of the screen. You can call in and you can interact with us live. That's what the show is all about. It's a show from the people, for the people, by the people. Yeah, it's our show. It ain't just me, and Ryan's show. It's the people's show.
Yeah.
Man, look, I'm excited, fellas. I'm excited. Every time I'm here, I'm excited. But every day I'm excited. Every day is a new opportunity to learn something, to prove something, to do something. So I'm just happy to have another opportunity to try to do this thing called life for another day.
I'm with you on that, cuz. I'm with you on that. I be waking up, man. I be looking in the mirror. I be like, I'm glad I'm me. Yes, another day to be me. This is too good to be true.
Look, it's a blessing. It's a blessing. I'm happy we actually able to get together, just like people the old school way at the dinner tables and the pool halls and the barbershops, and be able to have the discussions and conversations that we have to the masses on a grander scale, man. I think that's really dope.
Yeah.
That's a blessing, man. It's definitely a blessing. So you know what I'm saying? Let's get down to the bottom of it, man. I heard that you got 9 things that
Yeah,
you
man.
wanted to share with us tonight.
Of course, man. So let me give you a little bit of background here. So first off, the reason why I chose 9, because I know somebody out there is like, why didn't you choose 10? Well, one reason I didn't choose 10 was because it's my list. That's first. That's first. It's my list. You want 10, you got to get your own.
I love it.
Like, no, my brother, you got to get your own. But secondly, I chose 9 because I had through the last couple of weeks, I've been, matter of fact, since our last Wealth Wednesdays, I've had a lot of coaching calls with a lot of anything ranging from beginner entrepreneurs to mid entrepreneurs, to even people who just need some general guidance. Because there are a lot of people who think they want to do things, don't really want to do things. Certain mental blocks are holding them back. So I actually, I take notes of all those calls just to be able to, help with the larger audience who may not be able to, have a coaching call me at this certain point in time. So I take all the information and I managed to come up with 9 things about understanding money, because I know we focus so much on the cash aspect, how many checks are coming in, how much cash is coming in, the cars, the houses, things of that nature. And we do all enjoy those things, which we'll touch on as well. But I think before we can even get there, we first have to understand that there are signs and things all around us on an everyday basis, regardless of whether you're making $30,000 a year or whether you're making $500,000 a year. There are some very basic principles and basic ideals that I feel like need to be relayed for us to have a better understanding of how this works and how to use it to our advantage. So that's how we ended up with the 9 tips on understanding how money works.
Dope. I know that, you know what I'm saying? Like me personally, there's been situations to where I've gotten raises at work and then I start making a little bit more money. And then sometimes in the past, there were times where I upgraded my lifestyle instead of me saying, hey, take some of this extra money instead of, keeping up with the Joneses.
Look, man, we didn't all been there, man. I think this is why I love having these conversations, because I do feel like we as people, we as entrepreneurs, even I feel like there's a disconnect sometimes over the last, let's say 5 years or so, with the advent of, social media taking a super boom. The entrepreneur boom happened right around COVID till now. I think there was a very strong disconnect between, you don't want to say the have and the have-nots, but the people who started entrepreneurship and the people who either wanted to or weren't able to because of one reason or another. And I feel like there's this constant battle of information. And I feel like we all have to get an understanding of, most of us came from very similar backgrounds. And that's why when you talk about things like lifestyle, which you were describing lifestyle creep, where you were making $80,000 and, when it's all said and done, you probably spent $70,000 of that $80,000. So then naturally you think, okay, well, if I make $100,000 a year and get that raise, I should be great. But people fall into lifestyle creep where now, instead of having those same $70,000 expenses, now you have $90,000 expenses. So you're right back in the same hole you were in before. So I think we do need to have a conversation about, it's not exactly how much money you make, it's what you do with the money that you do make. But you also need to have a balance, because you don't want to also be somebody who, honestly, just if you save all your money, but you have no reason why you're saving, then you're not really being productive. So are you being productive with your money in terms of you're making money, but you're just hoarding it all and just with no plan and you're not enjoying it? Then what really are you doing other than just waiting around for something that may or may not ever happen?
So to all you shoebox hoarders who's hoarding all that money in those shoeboxes, y'all need to call in tonight, man, and get some of this knowledge.
Yeah, man. But so, fellas, let's go ahead and get started, man. I'm not gonna hold them too long here. Let's go with number 1. Because for the audience, mind you, for the audience, you two do not, I gave you 1, but you don't know the other 8. So they're going to get your authentic reactions in real time. So number 1, of course, is the one that I did bring to the table originally, which was, life will give you opportunities to make money, and life will give you every opportunity to spend that same money as well. So what that means is there's money and opportunity all around us every day. Even no matter what situation you are in, you are not too far away from success. You are not too far away from somebody who is successful to be able to, especially with the advent of the internet, you can Google things now more than ever. You got YouTube University, you got people in your area, people in your city who are doing good things. Even if you don't have a millionaire close by you, you have a restaurant owner at your local, chicken place, your local food place. So I say that to say that you have to recognize that there's money out there for you to find. You just have to go find it. But keep in mind, when you do find it, life is going to give you every opportunity to blow that money, to spend that money, or invest that money. So ultimately, don't be afraid of making money, but also don't be afraid to go find the money either, because at the end of the day, it's going to be up to you on how you choose to spend it. So even somebody with a standard 9-to-5 job, you know how much you're making, you know how much they take out in taxes, you know how much your bills are. Some people stay in the mentality of, well, I can only work with what I have out of this check. And until you expand your thought process beyond that and say, hey, okay, well, how can I make this extra money over here? Is there something that I can, is there something that I'm buying too much of? Do I have too many of a certain thing? Am I buying too many sneakers? You have money somewhere. Yeah. We throw away change every day because you don't feel like that change is making a difference. But to somebody who has, let's say a displaced person, I don't like to say homeless people, but let's say a displaced person, change can make the difference between them being able to eat or them not being able to eat. Yeah. It can make the difference between them being able to bathe somewhere or not bathe somewhere. So something that may be insignificant to you could change somebody else's life. Just like a millionaire may look at $100 bill and decide they want to crumple up and throw it away. You would take $100 and it could change it could feed your family for a day, a couple of days, a week. You can go grocery shopping. You may finally be able to go to the movies. You may be able to do a lot of things with that money. So the money is out there. It's just up to you to go find where that money is, and more importantly, where your opportunity is to make that money. Otherwise, you're going to get stuck in this hamster wheel of only looking at what you have right now. And as long as you look at what you have right now, you're never going to be able to get beyond that because you don't have enough foresight to figure out, like, okay, well, I only have this to work with, but how can I take this little bit, plant that seed now, and get where I'm trying to go in the long run? Number one.
Man, I think that's a good question. I think that's a good, not question, but I think that's a good tip. And I think it really hones into me that you need to have a good relationship with money. And if you don't have a good relationship with money, you're going to be challenged in being able to execute this tip. And this is just from personal experience. Like, you have to have a great relationship with money, or you will always either find yourself without money or always finding yourself with money that has no purpose. And to me, if you have money without purpose, that's almost the same as not having any money. So like, I've kind of like starting to shift my mentality into thinking like I should have purpose for every dollar that I have. Like, it needs to have some purpose. It all can't just sit in savings. It all can't just be spent. Like, it all needs to have its own purpose. And I need to figure out what that purpose needs to be. I've also been seeing like, you can go find money anywhere. Like, you can go do anything and get some extra money, because people always have needs, or people always have things that they are unwilling to do that someone else is willing to do. And so it's so easy. And I think, just reflecting back, like, I'm thinking about all the little stuff that happened when I grew up, learning how to cut the yard, cutting grass and stuff like that. Do you know how many people need that grass cut? Like, everybody doesn't have a professional. Everybody's not looking to pay a professional. Some people just looking for somebody to meet the need. You show up, cut that grass, they give you the money for it, you go on about your day. And that's just a simple example, because, I think a lot of people started out doing it. But just as a kid, I used to cut grass. Like, I remember folks walking around the neighborhood with lawnmowers, asking, hey, you need me to cut your grass? I specifically remember these little kids walking around my neighborhood in Memphis, like, raking leaves. And they was like, can we rake the leaves in your yard? And I paid them $20. They was only charging $20, man, to rake up. And I got a magnolia tree in the front. And if you know anything about a magnolia tree, if you never had one before, They only charged $20, but it was 2 of them. They had the rakes. The only thing I supplied them with was the bags because I rake up often. But like, I'm really resonating with this tip because like in my mind, it's really starting to make me see. It's really starting to open up my mind to see how simple it is to go find the money if you're trying to look for it. It's everywhere around you. Like it's literally everywhere around you. Even in the hand, even in the palm of your hand with that phone. Like it's literally everywhere. You just have to have the desire to go get it. Man,
right.
woo! You starting off strong tonight, man.
Yeah, starting off super strong.
Never had we coming out swinging, man. That resonated with me, man, because I think we all, no matter how good or bad we are doing in the moment, I also understand, which kind of helped me even get to the point where I'm at now, where I understand now, which is something I didn't understand before, that what's going on with me on a daily basis or what happens to me on a daily basis does not define who I'm going to be in the future. So I use the example with some of my clients as I use the example of a file cabinet. So if you think of your brain like a file cabinet, you have a whole bunch, you have memories, things that you've accomplished, things that you failed at, all your memories are stored in that file cabinet in your head. So typically what happens is when you think of something, whether it's an idea or something that you think you want to do or you want to try, most of us, through habit or otherwise, we automatically, mentally go through our file cabinet and we'll pull the closest recollection that we have to that thing. So if you want to start a business, you're going to roll back through your Rolodex or your file cabinet, and you're going to think about that time where you started something and you accomplished it, or you're going to think about the time that you tried something and you failed. Over time, we get to a point where we start pulling all of our negative files. So every time we try to start something, we do it half-heartedly because we already subconsciously think that we're not going to be able to accomplish it. Maybe because either we haven't seen it on a consistent basis. Maybe our parents didn't do it. Maybe our parents clutched every dollar. Maybe they had a bad relationship with money. Maybe our friends have a bad relationship with money. So we're going to pull from our memories, and if all our memories are negative when it comes to finances, then we're automatically setting ourselves up for failure. So we do need to program ourselves to understand that money, cash especially, but really all forms of money, and this has been proven even through the COVID era with crypto and all those things, money is a construct. Not to get too deep, but money is a construct. Money, a dollar bill has value here. It has less value in other countries. Some countries don't take dollars at all. Some of them don't have dollars at all. If you think back in the day, way back in the day in other countries, before we even had like an official currency, they were trading services, they were trading rocks, they were trading livestock. Whatever the value is for wherever you are, that's the type of currency that you use. So even when we talk about it in a money sense, in a financial sense, we're not talking about just finding money in terms of who can exchange cash. Money could be in the form of ideas. Money could be in the form of services. We're bartering services. Somebody comes on your podcast, and in exchange for coming on the podcast, they come on the podcast for free. They go ahead and get to promote their own products to be able to make the money on the back end. So sometimes we look at it just strictly as where's the money and how can I find the money in terms of who will buy from me. And we need to start looking more of like who has the money in terms of money equaling resources and opportunities. And then your actual physical cash will come down the line.
Woo. Man, hey, we're on it tonight, man, for real. Yeah, because relationships are worth more than money. You know what I'm saying? I recently watched a podcast where some guys were, they were talking about like relationships versus money. And one thing, relationships last longer than money, because like you said, money can be spent like at the drop of a dime. But if you build relationships and you work on those relationships, because it's one thing to meet somebody and then y'all kick it off and everything goes well and everything, but then you have to nurture those relationships. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes every now and then you might want to send a text to the person just saying, hey, I'm just, checking in, just making sure you're all right. Is there anything that I can do on my end that can help you, or, provide your services? You know what I'm saying? Because the people who get rich are people who figure out what people need, and then they just provide the service. You know what I'm saying? It's not even about, like y'all was saying, it's not even about like just trying to find something to sell somebody.
Yeah.
It's about finding something that you can do for somebody and help benefit them. And then automatically, you know what I'm saying, if you help a person in certain ways, they're gonna automatically say, hey man, shoot, man, the way you helped me, you know, here, take a couple of dollars, you know what I'm saying? Because man, money can't even really pay you back for the way that you've helped me, your services, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, in the relationships, man, you never know what type of doors it's gonna open for you down the road. Like, I think sometimes people like discount, building relationships with people. Like, I learned, just in college, I learned, man, like, it's not about what you know. Like, it's really about who you know. I watched professors pick up the phone and call companies for students. And I didn't have, like, I had a professor who like reached out. I had a couple who reached out, but like the ones who were well connected to some of the industry leaders in Memphis, I didn't have relationships with them. So, but the ones who did, they all got jobs at those places where that professor had worked at or was working with, or who had relationships with, man. And so, like, you got to, it's more than just, see a dollar, go get a dollar. Like, some of you have to like work to build, work to facilitate. Like, you have to put in some time here to open up a door for those funds to be gotten in another place, in another time, in another space. And so, man, listen, I don't know if we're gonna get through 9 tonight.
Yeah, we gonna get there. We're gonna get there. So we starting out strong. All right. Number 2, make your mistakes early. This is really for if anybody, the younger crowd or anybody who has children, because I have children. I try to encourage my children all the time. Like, look, barring anything egregious, I want you to try things. I want you to try out for teams. I want you to try out for math clubs. I want you to do these things because I want you to essentially, if you're going to fail or if you're going to struggle, I want you to struggle early, because a mistake at 20 is vastly different than a mistake at 40. When I was full into helping people with their credit, somebody coming to you at 19, 20, 21, more than likely they don't have a lot of credit to work with. So their problem is they don't have a lot of credit built up. So that's a completely different approach than somebody who is 35 years old. You've been through a couple of evictions. You've got a car repossessed. And on top of that, the mentality of a 21-year-old is different than a mentality of a 35-year-old, because more than likely that 35-year-old maybe has a family. So he or she can't afford to, they think they can't afford to take as many risks because they have more people depending on them. Yeah. And I equate it to even if you equate it to a toddler doing something that's 8 years old, it may be cute. If you do it at 18, it might be a charge, depending on what it is. So you have to understand that you have to take your risk early. Now, that does not mean that you cannot be 30, 35, 40, 45, 50 and still take risks. But if you are going to do that, you have to be aware that the older you get in life, the more risk averse you are, because society kind of persuades you that you need to be of a certain stability. So why are you taking risks? That's how you end up with people who stay at a certain job. You plan on being there for 3 years, and next thing you know, you're there for 20 because you get a family. You have kids. You have a family. Other people are relying on you. You pay your mama's bills. You pay your daddy's bills. You take care of grandma. So now you feel like you can't afford to take the gamble that you would have took when it was just you, and all you had to rely on was yourself. The only person that relied on you was yourself. So the sooner you make your mistakes and the sooner you take your risk, get those out the way, go ahead, make those mistakes and move on. Have a short memory when it comes to those things, and you'll be able to get to where you're trying to go faster. Because once you get older, you're still going to be able to take risks, but it's just going to be that much harder for you to believe you can achieve it, because everybody around you at that point is probably already going to be settled into where they're going to be with the handful of people who are willing to take that gamble.
Yeah. That's good, man. You do have to, man, all I heard is like jump. Like jump. That's all I kept hearing was like, you gotta jump, you gotta jump, you gotta jump. if you don't jump, it becomes riskier and riskier. Like the longer you go, like because you start to realize more and more the longer you wait, right? You start to realize, man, I'm actually up pretty high. Man, the wind is actually blowing pretty hard up here. Man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. Man, it looks like it's a long fall. And so it's easier to talk yourself out of it the longer you wait. And so sometimes you just have to jump. I think a great example for that is like, I'll never forget this experience because I think this kind of like changed how I do. Me and Jelks were, in the studio with one of my brother-in-laws, working on music. Like we was working on music so much, he was like, man, we got this building uptown. I think we can open up a studio. And I'm just like, sure, why not? Now, I don't know anything about Ripley. I don't live here, but I'm like, yo, why not? Open up a studio. It didn't go the way we wanted, but the mere act of doing it did tremendous things for my ability to jump headfirst into something when I have an idea to start something or to do something. Like it has changed how I jump now. Now I don't hesitate. Unless, it's very scary, then I might hesitate a little bit, but I still jump. Like I still jump. But that moment, that time, like taking that leap, getting those keys, like I'll never forget the moment of them handing us the keys to that space to lease. Like I'll never forget that. In that moment, it changed my whole trajectory. Like I'm in Chicago. That moment changed my trajectory. That's how I'm in Chicago right now. I said I would never live in a cold weather place. I said I'd never do. But just that moment opened my mind up to like, you never know where opportunity is going to come from. And sometimes you got to chase that. Even if it's in an unfamiliar place, you have to go chase that opportunity.
That's real, man. There was these artists who had a song out. They were local, and they had a song that when the song came in, it said, "If you scared, say you scared, but I can't go out like no hoe. If you scared, say you scared, but I can't go out like no hoe." And that song resonated with lots of people. Like when that song would come on, man, they would play that song in the club. It would, people would just get up. I don't care where you were. Everybody just jump up and run to the dance floor, man. And they'll start saying it. That's a chant. But that's what this number 2 kind of reminds me of, man. You can't be scared. You know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying? If you're scared, say you scared. But I can't go out like no hoe.
But I can respect it though, because at least you verbalize it, right? At least you admit that, hey, I'm scared. And you can start from there. You can work from there. It's the people who won't even admit that they're scared.
Right.
It's crazy.
I agree. I agree. Because I think there's nothing wrong with being afraid.
Yeah.
Because I think we frame fear. And I think sometimes I feel like we give fear too much power sometimes.
Yes.
Because because you're scared does not mean you can't move. That just may mean you may move with more of a cautiousness. But the key with that is you're still moving. So it's when you're petrified and where you're not moving, you're afraid to make any moves because you're afraid of making the wrong move. That's where the problem lies. And I think we have to get to an understanding of, okay, what are our goals? What are we trying to accomplish? And I think from there, then you can make the requisite moves to get where you're trying to go. But first, you do have to identify, like, look, not only am I afraid, you have to identify that you are afraid to figure out why you are afraid. Yeah. And I think we need to put more power in. I think we underestimate the power of completion. I think we underestimate the power of taking that first step, because all you need is one. If I can do it once, I know that I can do it again. It may take me a handful more times. It may take me a little bit longer, but just the fact that I know that I did it and it worked, just like even in podcast form, when you first start, you're like, who's going to watch me? Who's going to care about my opinion? When you get your first view, that's one thing. When you get your first 100 views, you're like, okay, you know what? I can do this. Because once you get the first 100, now it's like, oh, okay, now I just have to keep Xing what I'm doing to get that 100 to where I'm trying to get it. So I think we need to start worrying about how do we compound our wins. That's why I am a big proponent when I do my coaching. I am a huge proponent of breaking your days down into quarters, just like sports. Basketball game got 4 quarters, football game got 4 quarters. You need to break your day down into 4 quarters. So even if you have a not so great morning, that does not mean that your entire day. That's why I don't allow my kids to use it. I don't use it when we say like, oh, I'm having, my day was bad or my whole day is ruined. It's like, no. Because if your day, but first off, you can't tell me that your day has been ruined and it's 2:00 in the afternoon. I can't even tell myself that. At the end of the day, if I say, man, my day was ruined, I didn't do what I was supposed to be doing. Because if I look back at it, I may have had a rough morning, but I still had a whole second quarter to go. That mid-afternoon slot, I could have made up for that. Even if I did, even if, let's say I missed an appointment or I woke up late or I was, back somebody working a standard job, they're late to work, whatever the case may be, it's the people, even I've been there and I can speak on it. Your morning may already be bad because you woke up late. Maybe you didn't want to go. You end up being late for work. Maybe it wasn't in your control. Maybe you ran into some traffic. It was a car accident. You got to work late. You already mad that you got to work late. You already mad you even have to be there. What do you do after that? Because if you continue to be upset and it affects your work performance and everybody that you talk to at work irritates you and every call that you take at work irritates you, that has nothing to do with the irritation that you had this morning when you were late. You've got to turn the page on that and look at this as a brand new day, a brand new quarter of your day, and make up for that, distressful morning and have a good afternoon. Then when you get home, you can build upon that. Then you build upon that good afternoon. Now we're into the early evening. Okay, now we're easing on in, and now we're going to have a good night. Next thing you know, if you tell me 3 out of the 4 parts of your day were good, you can't tell me you had a bad day.
Man, that's crazy because like that's a great way to look at things, because at some point you should have some endurance and some maturity to be like, I'm down by 10 this morning, but I got the whole second quarter. I got the whole third quarter to go. Like the game ain't over with yet. Like I got to lock back in because I still got 3 more quarters to go. You know what I'm saying? Like I got to lock back in. Like, yes, I woke up late. It happens. Shake it off.
Shake it off.
I got to go because I got 3 more quarters to go. And like, I can't lose the rest of my day just over 1 quarter. Like now that I think about it, it's like 1 quarter. You're going to lose the rest of your day over 1 quarter? Yeah. 1 quarter? Gonna make you destroy the rest of your day? Man, that's a hell of a way to look at that. Like when you look at it like that, it's like, I can't destroy the rest of my day for 1 quarter. Like this one moment, I'm gonna let it destroy the rest of my day. Like I need to do whatever I need to do, refocus, reset, right? If that's meditation, if that's podcast, whatever I need to do, I need to reset this day because I got 3 other quarters I need to execute in to get a win for the day.
Yeah. That's how you look at it. That is how everybody should look at their day. That's just my suggestion, because if you look at it through that lens, you got plenty of people in all my sports people out there, especially when you watch basketball.
Yeah.
If you drop 10 points in the first quarter, you could be up, you could be down.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily how many points you score in the first quarter. It's really how you finish the day and how you finish the game. Yeah. Because you could just think about how you are in the morning. You probably, most of us don't have a morning routine. Most of us aren't really fully awake. Most of us are going to environments that we may or may not even like. So you already setting yourself up to not have the best first quarter because you don't have any structure. You can imagine if a team went out there and with no practice, didn't run no plays, it just rolled the ball out there, you're probably gonna get smoked in that first quarter.
Gonna get boned.
And that's why you see, and that's why you see whether it's in football or basketball, and I use those as perfect examples. Sometimes you'll see a team getting beat down in the first half. But what happens second half, they make their adjustments. Yeah. They wake up, they do their X's and O's, they figure out where they went wrong, where they went right, what they can improve on. And then that's when they like all coaches say, you come out of halftime, it's 0-0.
That's it.
And It's 0-0. So we have to have that same mentality when it comes to our days. Too many times we are looking at our days through the prism of we're not even going day by day. Sometimes we're going check to check, which means we're going week to week. We're going holiday to holiday. We're going school year to school year. We're going raise to raise instead of just going quarter for quarter. And if you could string enough of those quarters together and build on those, you could look back and have a pretty good week. But you can't. We have to get out of the mentality of blaming certain aspects of our day as the reason why we weren't able to recover the day. Because of course there are outside circumstances. If I get into a car accident and total my car, like yes, that is way worse than some other things that could happen to me. But I always use the example. Let's say that you are having a bad day. Let's say somebody at work. Let's say your boss is being unreasonable. Let's say you got in a traffic accident. Let's say you got in a traffic jam. Let's say somebody didn't do their job, which prohibits you from doing your job. Let's say every problem that you could think of is somebody else's fault. Just think about that. What happens then? Let's say I tell you what happened to me, and I'm blaming somebody else or something else, and I tell you, and you believe me. Okay, now what do we do with that? Yeah. Nothing changes. So the only thing you did is it's okay to express things that are bothering you. It's okay to express emotion. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be depressed. All these things are normal emotions. It's what you do with them after that is going to dictate what happens with the rest of your day and the rest of your life. Because if you do blame somebody or something else for something that happens to you directly, how many times are you going to keep blaming them for what you do after that? Because you're going to have to figure out how to recover from whatever it is that happened to you. That does not mean that you don't acknowledge what happened to you. That does not mean that you don't acknowledge if you come from a poor background. That does not mean that you don't acknowledge the fact that you don't have the resources. That does not mean that you don't acknowledge the fact that if you have some type of learning disability, if you have dyslexia. All these things are very valid things that happen to people. But what do you do with that information? Are you going to use it as a reason why you aren't learning what you want to learn, or using the resources that are available to you to figure these things out? Or are you going to use it as a stepping stone to get where you're trying to go?
Yeah. I like that, man. Self-awareness is big in that, man. Self-awareness. If you know you're not a morning person, why are you going to let the morning throw you off? You know you don't like it.
Yeah, this ain't even your final form. Like if you know you're not a morning person, I'm not even paying attention to how I do in the morning. Just like some people they're completely different people before they had coffee. Before they had their coffee, don't talk to them.
And some of them will tell you, hey, I ain't had my coffee yet. Let me go get you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we need to take that same energy and that same effort and apply it to ourselves about ourselves. And we can kind of go from there.
Woo! I told you.
Number 2 was deep, man.
We just on 2 and we 43 minutes in.
All right, number three, and this is universal. You have to invest before you see it. Now, you take it a couple different ways. So there's 2 different ways to look at this. So there is the financial aspect, which is a lot of people won't see the vision. Sometimes you don't even see the vision fully. But if you did see the vision fully, you probably wouldn't even try to do it because it would be too big. So when we talk about vision and we talk about investing it before you see it in that aspect, sometimes you're going to have to take the risk and invest your time or money into something that you feel strongly about, and then put the work in behind it to try to make it happen. Now, on the opposite end of that, or the other end of that spectrum, or I'd say, so to speak, a branch of the same tree, most of us have a problem with when it comes to money. It's not the fact that we can't make money, because most of us have standard jobs. Most of us have a source of income. It's what you do with it. And a lot of us look at strictly as, I get a paycheck, they take taxes, I pay bills, I get whatever's left over. I try to teach, and what I've read through, over my years of experience is you need to invest in yourself first. And investing in yourself does not mean that you go buy the latest and greatest. That does not mean that you blow a lot of money on yourself immediately. What that does mean is it could be something as simple as, you know what, I'm going to budget into, just like I budget my bills, I'm going to budget my haircut as a man. I'm going to budget it in like I do a bill. So I'm not looking at it as something that's a luxury. I'm looking at it as a necessity because I also know that my presentation matters. And I also know that makes me feel good. So if it makes me feel good, you don't necessarily have to say that I'm going to get a whole new wardrobe every time you get paid. But it's okay to buy a pair of pants. It's okay to buy, a new shirt or two, a pack of shirts, that shirt that you've been eyeing. That's okay on that end. And on the other end, we need to get more comfortable with setting up automations to invest our money for us, because a lot of us get our paycheck and it's gone before we even realize what happened, because we spend it on our luxuries and we spend it on our bills. There are websites, like we was talking about with phones, there are loads of saving and investing apps that you can download for next to nothing, that charge next to nothing, that will invest your money for you. And I'll give you one right now that I use personally, the Acorns app. If anybody's familiar with the Acorns app, that you can set up the Acorns app. They charge, their cheapest plan is like $3 a month. And what happens is you connect your bank account and you can tell the app how much you want to be taken out of your paycheck, however many times you get paid. So if you get paid twice a month, you can have them take, let's say, let's give a low number, $10. You can have them take $10 out of your check and put it into the Acorns app and invest it for you. Or you can set it up if you can do a certain amount, or you can have it to where they'll round up your transactions. So if you spend $3.75 at McDonald's, they'll go ahead and round it up to $4. They'll take that 25 cents, they'll invest it for you. You don't even see it. So by the time you get your paycheck and you check your bank account, that money is already gone. So you're saving and investing. So whether it's investing, whether it's automating your savings account, whether it's having two bank accounts and you got $20 coming out of your main account going into this other account, and that's your spending account, that's your luxury account, that's your movie account, that's your maintenance account, that's your hygiene account, that's your vacation goal account, whatever it is, having automations in place takes the responsibility off of you. So you can't say, man, like, that's a lot of work. I got to transfer this. I got to take this and plug this up. No, you plug in the app, you attach your bank account, and then you move on. So you don't even have, you just set it and forget it. If anybody remembers that, you set it and forget it. There are plenty of applications out there that on your phone that don't cost a lot, so you can't have the excuse they're expensive, that will automate these tasks for you. The sooner you start automating these tasks to be able to save the money for you without you noticing, then as you start making more money, you can increase it. And the next thing you know, you'll have $100, $200, $1,000 in an account that hasn't even phased you, because that $10 is not the reason that you're going to be broke. No. Most of the time, it's the habits that you incur while spending this money. So you're not going to miss that $10. A lot of people feel like they have to use every single dollar that they have on whatever they have. You're not going to miss that $10. Like, realistically, once you look at that $10 as something that is similar to what we were talking about earlier, something that has a job, that money going to that account has a purpose. It is building for your future. It is making you money later on. It is going towards a future goal. So once you look at that as something that you're not necessarily giving up for nothing, then I feel like you'll be in a better position to be able to expand on it more. But automations will be your best friend.
You got to use that technology, man. You got to use it because it can be a benefit to you. If you don't see that money, man, you ain't gonna miss it. That's what I'm hearing. If I don't see that money, how can I miss it? If I didn't see that $10, I can't miss it.
Right.
But what I can see is that $1,000 at the end of the year, though.
That's facts. That is fact. I mean, you think about it. You get when you get a standard paycheck.
Yeah.
Like when you get a standard paycheck, what do they take out? They taking out your taxes. If you got health insurance, they taking that out.
401k coming out.
401k if you got that. So the check, so you already have access to how automation works. You don't miss that money because you got so accustomed to what am I taking home? You may look at what you made originally and see how much they're taking out for what, but you know that you don't budget for that. Yeah. So I make $1,000, but I know they're going to take, let's say $200 out in taxes and all those things. I know I'm taking home $800. So I'm basing all of my finances and all my budget on $800. It's the same way if you looked at your savings account, like your job looks at your 401k, where if you automate it to where it's not negotiable, then you're not going to miss it after a while.
Exactly. I take two things out of number 3. The first one is like when I did have a car note, I would have it automated. You know what I'm saying? I wanted it to come like directly out of my check, and it would go directly to like my creditors. You know what I'm saying? Because like you said, after a while, I didn't even miss the money. You know what I'm saying? I've adjusted, and you know what I'm saying? And the car is getting paid off, and it's not even phasing me at some point. You might miss it the first couple of payments, but after a while, you'll adjust.
That's real.
Secondly, you said invest early and see the vision before try to see the vision in things beforehand. Like in 2007, I was working for this company, and I used to watch YouTube just a little bit then. Like the social media phenomenon wasn't that crazy then. So every now and then I would watch YouTube, and I used to see people on there talking about Bitcoin, saying you need to invest in this Bitcoin. And this is 2007, so Bitcoin was only like $10 or $20 a coin. And now looking back, you know what I'm saying? Bitcoin now is worth like $100,000 per coin. Looking back, man, I'm like, if I had have saw the vision then and invested early and started buying some of those coins, each coin that I would have bought for like $20, $30, $40, $50 maybe tops would be worth $100,000 each today. Yeah. I could be filthy rich if I could go back and see the vision early and invest in the vision early. So number 3 definitely resonates.
Yeah, bro. All right, number 4. It's gonna be maybe a little controversial. Number 4, interest matters, but it depends. That's exactly how I wrote it. The interest matters, but it depends. And to bring this home, I'm pretty sure we've all seen in the news within the last 2 to 3 years, especially when we talk about home ownership. We're talking about interest rates, similar to cars too. Interest rates are sky high. So some people are waiting until interest rates go down to be able to afford a home, or to try to apply for a home, or they're worried about interest rates when they go buy a car, and things of that nature. And I say interest matters, but it depends, because it depends on what the thing is that the interest is attached to. Does interest matter when you are buying your first home? Yes, interest matters. However, cash flow matters a little bit more, because if you can get the house that you want at the price that you want, especially if you're not overpaying because you're able to negotiate the deal as such, and this applies to business as well. Most of your money, especially in a business sense and a money sense, the money is made on the deal. So if you can get the deal to where you want numbers wise, similar to cars or similar to investing in real estate, any person who invests in real estate will tell you the money is not made on the tenant that you put in there. The money is not made really even on the interest rate. It's made on what'd you get the property for to begin with, like the base. How much money? How much of my cash before we even get to the investment number, or the interest number. So I say that to say interest matters if you are trying to buy a $500,000 car, but most of us, on average, can't buy a $500,000 car right now. So why are we worried about and being afraid to buy things that have maybe higher? Let's just keep it real. Most of us don't even know enough about interest rates. We don't know how they're formed. We don't know how they get to that number. Most of us come from places where we either buying cash cars, we're buying cars from the buy here, pay here. If we do finance a car, most of us finance the car. The car was probably only worth $7,000. You end up financing it for $15,000. You got a 22% interest rate. You're gonna pay that car off in 7 years. You're probably not even gonna pay it off because after 3 years, it's probably gonna break down. After 2 years, you're probably not even gonna want anymore, and you're gonna be upside down. So the conversation about interest, I feel like for some people, it needs to be, we need to tone it down a little bit, because before we can have a conversation about whether you need to invest in something or because it has a high interest rate or not, you first need to figure out what your goal is. Because if this piece of property that you're getting at let's say a 9% interest rate, if you got enough, money on the deal up front, when you're already walking into it with equity, and you're going to be able to put a tenant in it, and you're going to be able to get the value to go up by making your renovations, because that's a property that needed some work. Instead of you buying a $500,000 property, maybe you got it for $375,000. You already walking into it with equity. Yes, the interest rate may be 8-9%, but you're walking into it with equity, as opposed to somebody who's waiting for it to go down. Interest rates may go down, they may not go down. But at the end of the day, you could be waiting for something that may not happen, A, and then B, you could also be waiting on the simple fact that interest rates could go up. Or maybe interest rates go down, but prices continue to skyrocket. So it really just depends on what we're talking about when it comes to interest. Because if we're talking about paying 20% on a car and we make $80,000 a year and your car note is $800, interest probably matters. If we're talking about investing in an index fund, or we're talking about buying a vehicle that's $10,000 and it gives me a 6% return, and we're talking about paying X amount of interest, it may bear out because we're using it to buy an asset. So it really just depends on what type of interest we're talking about.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, man. I think one of the biggest things you said, it depends on what does the opportunity look like, and I think it goes back to your previous point. What type of investment are you looking to make? And you should be making the investment early. And so it's like, does opportunity match with the investment that I'm trying to make? And also, does this align with the vision that I'm trying to have? Because you can buy a house and it'd be at 8%, but the equity in it supersedes that interest that you're going to pay. Not only does it supersede, but you also have plans to also make investments into that property to increase its value so that you can get a higher return when you sell it. Most of that money you're going to pay in interest, you're going to make back because of the equity that's in it, and also the investments you plan on making into it to grow the equity. And so I don't think it's controversial. I think it actually makes sense, because you have to look at it from what's the desired outcome for this opportunity. What position am I in financially? And it all depends on what your situation is. So I don't think you can just apply a universal. I do believe that, Tip. You have to look at the whole pie first and decide if this is something I want to consider, if this is something I don't want to consider. Because it might not really matter. Sometimes the opportunity outweighs what the interest might look like. And markets go up, they go down. That housing market especially, it goes up, it goes down,
I do feel like. Go ahead, Cup.
Go ahead. Sometimes, I just wanted to add to what O was saying, and then and also be the devil's advocate, because a little bit, because sometimes a low interest rate can be a bad thing, because it could scare you from other opportunities. Let's say you do get lock in a super low interest rate on a home, but then at some point you're thinking like, maybe I should sell this home and get another home, but you're scared now because you're scared that you're not going to get that same low interest rate. So it kind of keeps you stuck. You're kind of like, if I buy another home, then I may get like a super high interest rate. So I may as well stay here. So you may think that, having that low interest rate is all that, until like a situation comes to where you're wanting to like maybe sell the home and then like reinvest in a new home. And then now you're thinking like, man, but if I do that, my interest rate might be higher. You know what I'm saying? So it can it could keep you, it could have you scared to make a move if you get a super low interest rate on something.
That is true. And I feel like, and I use myself for the example. Me and I have friends of mine. We are in the car rental business, and in the car rental business, there are a lot of different ways that you can make money, and a lot of different ways you can invest in that business. Whether you're buying cars in cash, Facebook Marketplace, when you go into a buy here, pay here, or whether you finance a vehicle. So if I was going to always worry about the entry level interest rate, that would prevent me. Let's just say, what's an example? So let's just say there is a car that is $20,000, and let's say after you add up, let's say it has a medium interest rate, and let's say after all said and done, that car payment is, let's say $450 a month. Let's round it. Let's make it even though. $500 a month. If I can take that car that I got that I'm getting for $500 a month, and I can make anywhere between $1,500 to $2,000 a month by renting that car out, does it matter about the interest rate?
No brainer. That's a no brainer.
Doesn't matter. So now, of course, like what you said, like what we said earlier, you do have to worry about your situation because markets do change, climates change, people, especially when you're selling to customers and clients, taste change. So you do have to understand what your strategy is going into it. Can I absorb the cost of this if I have a down month? Or if you want to look at the opposite way, do I have a program in place to where I know I'm going to have this car rented out for at least X amount of days? Me personally, I use the math of I want to get my car rented out at least 21 out of 30 days. If I can get this car rented out 21 out of 30 days a month, which really isn't hard if you have systems in place, I'll be able to afford the notes, the insurance, the maintenance, and have some money to reinvest back into the business if I can get this car rented out a minimum of this many days. So why do I care about the interest rate when it's making me money that I can take and invest it to where the interest rate isn't going to matter as much to me because I'm generating income that's going to supersede the interest anyway. So overall, we can't get so stuck on and being afraid, like us said, you can't get so focused on it to where it keeps you from being able to make a move, as long as it's an educated move. A lot of us don't make moves because we just don't have enough information. And a lot of us don't make moves because we have too much information. So we get frozen. We have so many options to choose from. Sometimes you got to make the move and see what happens. There's always other options for you, but you have to first get past the point of thinking that, like you said, there's not one coat of paint for every situation.
Man, number 3 it's getting interesting. It's getting more and more interesting as we go.
All right, where we at? We are on number 5. Number 5 is one that I've learned over time, and I hope this helps somebody. Customize your rich. Don't live somebody else's dream. And I say that, and that one means a lot to me personally, because through my own journey to get to where I'm at now, there's been a lot of adjustments to that vision. There were a lot of things early on that I thought that I wanted, a life that I thought I wanted, that when you were able to accomplish these things, you realize that they may not have as much value to you as you thought they would originally. And I feel like for most of us, we see other people, especially with social media the way it is now, we see a lot of people living a certain type of life, and we wish we could live that life, but we don't have all the information. We don't know what they're going through. We only have a snapshot of the positive moments in said person's life. So I think, and I always use this exercise with my clients. I ask them, how much money do you think it would take for you to be comfortable? Most of the time, the answer is $1 million. And then I asked them, okay, well, what would you do with that $1 million? Most of them, go through the regular thing. They would buy a car. They would buy a house. Maybe they would buy their mom a house. Maybe they would buy their family a bigger house. And I'm like, okay, well, first, it's okay to have that goal, but we also need to have the perspective of, do you know what 100,000 feels like? Because $100,000 may change your entire life.
Yeah.
$300,000 may change your entire life, but you have been so focused on how you think you need $1 million to change your life that you have really been suppressing your own self, because the goal seems so big, it seems so grand, it seems so enormous that it doesn't feel attainable. And if you really sat down and looked at it and looked at what you want to do and looked at who you want to take care of, you may realize that $1 million is not even something that you are looking to strive for, at least at the risk of burning yourself out. If you want $1 million, that's fine. If you want to be a multi-millionaire, that's fine. But I talk about it with some of my other people in terms of a billionaire. Do you really want to be a billionaire? Most of your billionaires don't have strong families. Most of them tell you they slept in their offices for years and years and years and put in a lot of work and made sacrifices that millionaires don't even make. Do you want to be a billionaire and sacrifice not being at your child's sporting event or awards banquet, or you're missing vacations? Like, you're working so hard for the money, but you can't go on vacation and enjoy it with your family because you're having to work while you're on vacation. So when I say customize your rich, you need to identify what are the things you care about and what are the things you don't care about. There are some people out there who don't care about traveling at all. So that wouldn't be where their money goes. Some people really like shoes. That's perfectly fine. But you need to identify what exactly means the most to you so you can customize your rich plan around it. So now, instead of trying to make $1 million, maybe we see if $200,000 can change your life a little bit. And then if that changes your life and then you want to expand upon that, then we can start working on how to 10x, 15x your plan from there. But we as a people, and us even in the beginner entrepreneur stage, I think we have a habit of comparing our systems, habits, demeanors, wants, needs, desires. We have a habit of comparing them to people that the average person, not saying that nobody can, but the average person is not going to reach that height. We're in this space and we're talking about what Bill Gates wears, what Bill Gates drives or doesn't drive, what Jeff Bezos does and what he does not do, and how he conducts himself and how he doesn't have this, or he's not driving around in this, and like they don't show their all those type of things that normally we have conversations about. And I'm just saying, like, we're not the same people. You're not Jeff Bezos. The average person will never get to be Jeff Bezos. So you thinking you want to be Jeff Bezos simply because he has this unlimited amount of money, well, he also is divorced. You know what I'm saying? Like, he also may not have as close of a relationship with the people around him as he or you may like. So you have to take all these things into consideration when you make the plan for your life. Otherwise, you will be working for money that you kind of don't even really want.
Yeah, man. I think that's a great one, because I think sometimes we look at lifestyles without understanding what they are. If you ain't ever been in a room with a millionaire, if you ain't ever been on a journey with a millionaire, sometimes you might have a skewed perception of what it took to get there or what it's like being there. And I think sometimes people make these assumptions by what we see, especially social media now, by what we see is like, oh, day in the life of me, this is how it's supposed to look. But I don't think that journey looks the same for everybody. And I think this tip hits home to that. Like, you have to customize that plan for what you want to see and what you want to have out of life. And I think some of us don't even know what we want to have because we haven't experienced anything. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's important to get out and have experiences in life so you can understand. If you ain't never been overseas, you don't know what it feels like to like really travel, experience different cultures. You don't know like what the value is of that. You don't know how invaluable that is, or you don't know how valuable that is, like to have that opportunity. You don't know how much that enriches you to do simple things like that. So I think sometimes we need a lot of exposure to things in order to be able to really figure out, like, do I really want that life? Do I really want to go that high? Do I really want to make that much money? Because I think people don't understand, like, the further you go, the higher you go, it requires some sort of sacrifice. Like, people don't get to the top just by, well, some people, but like most people don't get to the top just by just like, walking into an opportunity. Most people have to work hard, has to have some exposure, has to have some connections to begin to build some things. And then maybe the next generation will have an opportunity to walk into some things. But like, a lot of people don't have that opportunity to just walk into a thing. Like, somebody has to build a thing in order for you to be able to walk into that thing. So, man, I think this is a great point. Like, you have to know what you desire and what you want. And I think so many times most of us desire what we see other people have. And that's what we think we want until we get it. And then we realize, you know what? I don't think I like being on the road every week. I don't think I like, like, I still have desires of being the president of a company or the CEO of a company. But I heard a president at Smith and Nephew say he spent 265 nights in a hotel out of the year. And I thought to myself, I said, 265 nights in a hotel. And I was like, that's commitment. Not only is that commitment, but like, if you have a family, right, that's 265 nights you're away from your family. And more than likely, when you're in that position, you could have the wealth to bring your family to you, but more than likely, you're not going to be able to do that because you need to be locked in and focused to do the job that you have. And so it's like, oh, I want to be a president, but I don't know if I want to spend 265 nights in a hotel alone by myself. Like, it sounds good in theory, but like, if you've ever been traveling, if you ever travel for work, you understand like the burden that it can have on you to travel night after night. Like, you leave your kids on Sunday, you're not back home again until 2-3 weeks later because you got to travel. You got to travel for your job, so you're not back home for 2-3 weeks later. And I ain't like driving on the truck road. It's like, I'm in different countries, I'm in different states, I'm in different cities, and like, I'm moving and I'm spending all of my time in these hotel rooms. So yeah, I like this. You do have to customize the plan to what you want, because what you see you might want might not be what you really want. And you might put in a lot of effort to get there, like you said, and then now you're like, man, I wasted a lot of years getting here and I'm not enjoying any of this.
Yes. Yes. And I'm gonna go ahead just to add to that, and I'm gonna let Jelks jump in here. A lot of people, and I say the average person because it's not everybody. A lot of people think they want money or want to make an abundance of money. They want $1 million, and they don't even feel like you want $1 million, but you don't feel like it's worth it for you to pay for an accountant. You don't feel like it's worthy enough for you to pay for a top-notch tax strategist. So like, you can't tell me that you want certain things if you're not willing to put the things in place to maintain it.
Yeah.
Because if you can't get over the idea of paying somebody 5 figures to make sure that your taxes are up to par, you don't need $1 million. And most people are going to use the example of a lot of the millionaires, multimillionaires, the billionaires in the United States who have found loopholes to not pay taxes.
Yeah.
I got news for you. For most of us, not all of us, most of us, you ain't them.
No.
You will go to jail. So if you think they're going to get you, like Luther said, there's 3 people he don't mess with: the I, the aura, and the S. You will go to jail if you don't have the right things in place, and you don't have the right people in place to be able to lawfully save as much money as possible, because you can't afford the type of tax attorneys and audit attorneys that these rich people have. You will go to jail.
Your ass will be in jail. You will be in jail.
You will be in jail.
And the crazy part is, it'll be like 6 years later, and IRS be like, back in 2019, we noticed that you made X, Y, and Z, but you didn't file that income here. And so now you owe us $50,000 for this income that you did not report in 2019, and it's 2030. You're like, what? Yeah, you owe us that, and we need that immediately.
Oh yeah, we need that ASAP. We go, and they're gonna get it. They're going to get it.
And we also know in 23 that you owe us $70,000, and in 24 you owe us
and on top of that, they're going to get their money either way it go. And I've cut multiple 5-figure checks to the IRS, and it wasn't because that we didn't have our stuff in order. It's just when you make a certain amount of money, you don't want to be out here reporting zero income. Because that don't look good for any of the moves I'm trying to make either.
And I'm telling you something. They look at those trends. They got the computers, man. They look at those trends, man. If they start seeing abnormal stuff happen, like, hold on, you went from making, bringing home $30,000 a year to down to 20, to down to 10. That doesn't look right. Let's take a deeper dive into what you've been doing.
Yes. Jelks, go ahead and get in here, man.
So, like, when I first signed my deal with Chuck D, shout out to Chuck D, Public Enemy. I went on their website and I saw like their tour dates, and I noticed that they're going to be in New York today. The next day they were going to be in LA. The next day they were going to be in Texas. The next day they're going to be in London.
Ooh. They're
going from London, to other places in Europe, and then they're going to be in Australia. And then I thought to myself, I'm like, hold up, is this really like no? They're doing real actual work. They have to really physically be in these places on these dates and perform these shows, like literally. Mm-hmm. And it did make me think, like, is that really the lifestyle that I would want? I followed Chuck's brother on social media, and he was posting like some just behind the scenes. He was like, people say they want this lifestyle, but here we are, it's like 3-something in the morning and we're waiting on our plane. Yeah. We're on a layover. We got a 3-hour layover. So they're just overseas in whatever country, in whatever town, just sitting there like waiting. You got a 3-hour wait, for your plane to take off and everything. So it's not that just let me know that, like you said, like y'all said, be careful what you're wishing for. And we see, the success of certain people and certain artists and certain, high level figures, but a lot of times we don't just look at the actual, like what they're actually doing to have this success. All we see is the bigger picture. We see, Public Enemy, they're worth millions and millions of dollars, but just seeing that behind the scenes and then just looking at the schedules and stuff that they have to keep up, and you know what I'm saying, and these are contractual obligations. So you have to do this stuff, or else you could be sued, if you don't keep up your end of the contract. So you know what I'm saying. I still want to. That's my passion. You know what I'm saying. Rocking stages all over the world. You know what I'm saying. But I'm glad that you brought this up, because it resonated with me so much, because we see the overall success of people like Jeff Bezos and some of the other people that you named, but they're really working. They're really putting the work in to do and be as successful as they are. And people don't want to see that side of it. They just want to look at the glitz and the glamour side of it.
Ooh, they're heavy. They're heavy. Right.
It's deep, man. Like it's real work. Mm-hmm. It's not. It's they didn't just wake up one day and we're filthy rich.
No. So I think that's what I hope everybody takes home with them and mulls over that. What do you want that to look like for you? Number 6. Yeah, we on number 6. Number 6. This one is pretty simple. Number 6, don't talk to me about no wealth. You do not have life insurance. If you don't have no life insurance, the wealth conversation doesn't even start if you don't have no life insurance. Because that, for a lot of people throughout history, is the jump off point for a lot of successful, use Master P as an example, just as one example. Like a life insurance policy, when we talk about generational wealth, will get, or at least have the possibility to jumpstart your generational wealth. And I think we as a people get so wrapped up in the cost of things. Life insurance ain't one of them. You can get a $500,000 life insurance policy sight unseen for like $37 a month. There's no excuse to not have life insurance. Life insurance is one, because at this point I've been to enough funerals, and Mr. Jelks, you can attest as well, where a lot of people wouldn't be able to bury their loved ones without life insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. The way that funeral costs are now, and are probably going to continue to rise, caskets themselves are like $7,000. And while somebody is trying to grieve, or people are trying to grieve, the last thing that anybody wants for their family is to have to figure out not only how to deal with it, but also how to pay for it. And that's before we even get to the opportunities that could arise from being able to leave something to your children, to be able to pay off a home, to be able to pay off a car, some type of asset, to be able to build some type of business to fund their children and their children's children. So, and even to extend upon that, not only is life insurance appointment, we can't even start having the wealth conversation until we start having a primary care physician conversation, especially with Black men. We need to have a primary care physician conversation. We need to have a dental conversation. We need to have a cardiologist conversation. Just all things to take care of ourselves on a physical level. We can't even talk about wealth without having a mental health conversation. All of these things are building blocks of building wealth outside of just how much money can I make? Because if you don't have these things in place, then you're setting your children's children, which is the point. If you talk about generational wealth, you're not talking about yourself. There are plenty of people who are the first to do something in their families who probably don't reap the benefits of it while they're alive, but they're setting the future generations up. So if you really are talking about generational wealth, if you really are talking about wealth in general, what's the point of making all this money if you're not taking care of yourself physically? If you're not going to the doctor to get yourself checked, if you're walking around with cavities that could turn into abscesses that could end up having your teeth fall out, that's not a good representation of wealth. Just like you think that not having a 2000 Honda Accord is not a good representation of wealth. It's the same thing. So if you feel like in order for you to prove you have wealth or you are well off, that you need to drive a certain kind of car, you need to apply that same energy to your back ends. So to me, you can't be somebody who's living a rich life or a wealthy life or striving to have a wealthy life if you don't have life insurance, if you don't have a primary care physician, if you don't have a dentist, if you don't have these things in place that you can go to make sure that the main body that is making this money is going out here and doing the work. It's just like an oil change with your car. You got to make sure your car has the tires rotated, the oil is going to be changed, you got transmission fluid. It's the same thing with your body. If you're not doing your maintenance checks on your body, are you really that serious about maintaining and building wealth? In my opinion, you are not.
That's a good one.
Man, yeah, listen, I ain't got nothing to add to that, man. Hey, listen, I don't disagree with you. If you don't have those things, how can you be planning for wealth? Because you're not even planning to keep yourself healthy, right? Health is wealth, right? That's another form. That's another form of being wealthy, right? Like being in good health. You don't have to repeat cycles. You don't have to experience the same things that the people before you experienced. You know what I'm saying? Like if you want to be able to live a long, prosperous life, like you have to also invest in yourself, the physical self, the mental self, the spiritual self. Like you have to invest in that in order to even to me, in order to think about building wealth. I agree with you. Like if you're not making an investment in yourself, how can you build wealth? Right? Because in my mind, you're already planning to exit before you can even complete the plan. Like you're already planning to fail. Like if you don't consider it, like especially if you think about it, like some people, parents didn't even do a good job of taking care of them, making sure they went to the doctor, making sure they went to the dentist, making sure they went to see the eye doctor because they couldn't see. Like some people started their adult life in a deficit. And instead of climbing out of it, you can't continue to put yourself in a deficit. You need to try to climb out of that. You need to try to build from that, or you need to continue to build on what your parents started. Some people, had good, healthy, young lives. And so like you have to keep investing in yourself in order to be able to build, man. I think that's a good one. I don't think you can become wealthy without first building the wealth internally.
Yeah. And if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Yep. Straight up.
With life insurance, you know what I'm saying? You need to plan to fail because these bodies are going to fail, and it's inevitable.
It is.
There hasn't been one person who's still here, who were born like, years and years and years and years ago, who are still here for thousands of years or anything like that. So yeah, man, you need to definitely plan to win, you know what I'm saying? Plan for your family to win whenever, when it's your time. That's all I got to say about that.
All right. I guess we'll move on to number 7. We're getting to the end here. Number 7. You don't need to be doing that. And when I say you don't need to be doing that, I'm gonna say it exactly like that. Because if I talk to my uncle, or you talk to an old head in your life, and you tell them something, they're gonna be like, you don't need to be doing it. And when I say that, I'm talking about the average version of us, the people that are just starting out. There's a lot of information on the internet, now more than ever. You can find almost anything. Because of that, I feel like we get very invested in the shiny object. So I'm speaking about, for example, like you mentioned it earlier when it comes to like Bitcoin, crypto, infinite banking, over leveraging, over leveraging your credit, whole life insurance policies where you can invest a certain amount in and pull it back out, and all those things. You don't need to be doing all that, because if you look at it, how can you trust yourself to educate yourself to make the right decisions there when you don't have $100 saved? When you when you still haven't adapted mentally to make the type of sacrifices to sit in the house on the weekend. So we were just talking about with number 6 about life insurance. Let's say health insurance. Health insurance through an employer may cost you $45 to $65 a check. You don't want to part with that $45 to $65 a check because you feel like you need it. But at the same time, you won't pay for the insurance, but you'll spend the $100 somewhere else. Maybe you spent it at McDonald's throughout the week. Maybe you spent it at the club. Maybe you splurged on that shirt, which, like we talked about earlier, you going to McDonald's every day, spending $5 is not the reason why you're broke. You spending that money is not the reason why you are not getting to where you're trying to go, spending that money. The issue is that you don't have a balance. If you're going to spend that money in those places, then you need to have just as much energy and play in those other places as well. So before we start getting into teaching someone or trying to get into forexing and infinite banking and crypto, because it's not like there are people who are using these things to build wealth and make money. But when we're talking about the average viewer doesn't have $1,000 saved. The average viewer does not have an emergency fund. The average viewer, if they had a blown out tire, can't afford a tow truck. So before we even get to the point where we try to teach people about what to do with X amount of dollars when they get it to be able to compound it and do. We got to get to the point about let's get you to a point where we can get you some reliable side income. Let's get you to a point where you can get some type of automation going to save $10 to $100 out of each check or $100 a month to put it into. Then we can start talking about putting it into a high yield savings account, or we can talk about putting it into an index fund that's getting you anywhere between 3 to 5%. That's on a low end. You know what I'm saying? Let's focus on getting you used to putting money places and getting used to the idea that you don't need to go back and get it every time something that you feel like is an emergency comes up. Because 9 times out of 10, you take that $50, put it somewhere. You want to go get that $50 for something you think is an emergency. It's really not actually an emergency. And now you set yourself back and you made yourself feel bad because you had a plan, but you didn't really believe in it. And now you're back to square one. So when I say you don't need to be doing that, that doesn't mean that you can never take risks. That doesn't mean that you can never, take gambles about things that you may not be entirely educated about. But we can't take those risks. We can't take those risks if we are not willing to also put in the work to educate ourselves about how these things work on a very basic level. And then once we learn how they work on a basic level, we can go ahead and start to upgrade our education. At that point, then eventually you can get to where you're trying to go when it comes to crypto and infinite banking and things of that nature.
Yeah, man, I think that's good. What I heard you say is you need to have a foundation before you start trying to build something.
Yes.
Like, get that foundation first before you start to go, like, put them walls up, and start trying to order material. Hey, listen. Get the foundation first. And once you master having that foundation, once it's solid, once you figure out, how to get it going, to make sure it's sturdy and it's strong enough to hold you up, then you can start building up. You know what I'm saying? Then you can start moving up. Then you can start expanding. Then you can start growing. Maybe you need to start with 900 square feet first before you try to do 3,000 square feet. Sometimes you have to understand your capacity level. That's what I like to call it. You have to understand your capacity level. All of us don't have the capacity to look at crypto and like interpret it and understand it and be able to run off with it and be like, oh, this is the hot new thing. I'm going to jump on it. I'm going to be ready. Most things that become the hot new thing, there were people who knew that thing was going to be hot. And so when it wasn't hot, they were investing in it. They were positioning themselves to be in the right place at the right time so that when it did pop, that they would get paid, that they would make that money. So, you got to have a solid foundation before you can start trying to build on it. I don't disagree with that. And that's every place. Sometimes that's not even just like, a 18-year-old, that's a 40-year-old. Things look differently at 40 than they did at 19. Right. So maybe the foundation changes, maybe those things change. Maybe you going from a half an acre lot to a 5-acre lot. And so what it requires to maintain 5 acres is different than half an acre. So, that stuff changes even as you change throughout life, even as you grow throughout life. That's just what I'm learning. Like the foundations change. What you require changes. What you're willing to do, what you're willing to sacrifice also changes. So that dictates how fast and how far you need to go up. And it's, sometimes it can be, you don't need to be doing that, dog. Not right now. I don't think you're ready to do that right now.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. And I'm going to take y'all back. You know what I'm saying? One of the first stories that we ever learned was the 3 little pigs, right? You know what I'm saying? The first pig, he built his house out of straw. What happened? It got blew down.
Mm-hmm.
The next pig, he came along. He built his out of wood. What happened? It got blew down. You know what I'm saying? The third pig figured out, you know what? I need a foundation. I'm going to build mine out of brick. It's going to have a foundation. So when it came time for the thing to blow it down, it huffed and puffed and it couldn't do nothing with it. Couldn't touch it. Take that as, you know what I'm saying? Like what we're saying now, you know what I'm saying? Make sure you build your foundation on something solid so that when the wind blows, it doesn't come and blow your foundation down, because it can't, because it's built on something solid instead of something weak.
Yeah, man. All right, we get down to the last two. We get down to the last two. Number 8. You spent the money. Stop being afraid of your bank account. I call it bank statement blindness. Most of us spend money, and we spend to the point where we are afraid to look at our bank statements to see where our money went. You cannot be educated about trying to build wealth. You cannot be educated about finances if you are afraid to look at the damage that you have done. It's the same way with your credit report. If you are not able to, if you do not have the ability, the accountability to look at your bank statement and comb through it and see where you spent your money in a month or over a certain period of time, you are not ready to build wealth in that kind of way, because you have to be aware of where your money is going. We talked about it earlier. Every dollar has a job. So if you are afraid to look at your bank statement because you know you've been spending money on fast food all the time, or you've been spending money going out all the time, and now you get to the point where you can't pay a bill or two, and you are looking like, where did my money go? But you don't ever look at your bank statement, or you don't ever go to your app and look at your transactions, then to me, you are trying to escape accountability by being oblivious. And you being naive or you being oblivious is no excuse. So you have to be aware in order for you to have control. Look at your bank statements, see where you're spending most of your money, see if there's anywhere you can cut back on, or is there something that you're willing to sacrifice for a short period of time? And if so, then you make those adjustments as such. But your problem is not going to solve itself just because you don't look at your app, or you don't look at your bank statement, or you avoid answering the phone when your bank calls, or you avoid those overdraft fees. Like, that's not going to help you get where you're trying to go. You need to be able to address these issues head on to be able to come up with a plan to how to make sure this doesn't happen again.
What you think? Oh,
Oh, we lose O?
Nah, I think my headphones.
Oh, there we go.
I can't hear nothing.
oh, okay,
I can see your mouth moving. I can't hear nothing. Hold on just a second. Go ahead. Keep going.
okay.
Just what you got.
In my opinion, like, hold on. Something happened with my headphone. Hold on.
Well, all right. Well,
My bad.
Okay, there we go.
I can hear y'all now.
Good?
All right, I'm back.
Good. All right.
I don't know. I don't know if it's my board or what it is.
Can you hear us?
Now I can.
Okay. All right. Oh, you good?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I can hear
All
y'all
right.
now. My
All
bad.
right, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Bank statement blindness. What you think?
Man, listen, none of us want to look at the damage we did, man. Like, but I don't disagree with you. You can't avoid looking at the mistakes you've made. The other thing is, the one thing I'll say, like, sometimes if you know you're not doing what you're supposed to do, you can't be afraid to look at the damage that you're doing. Like, you were big and bad enough to do it. Like, you have to be able to be willing to be big enough, strong enough to be like, yo, I need to take a hard look in the mirror. This is not how I want my life to be. This is not how I want to see things being, and start to try to change that thing versus like just ignoring it. Just like, I'm gonna spend the money. I ain't gonna worry about these overdraft fees. I'm just gonna keep going. I'm just gonna live my life because I'm young, I'm free. I'm gonna live my life how I want to live it versus being accountable. And you have to hold yourself accountable. And for me, that's the only way you're gonna grow. If you don't hold yourself accountable, you ain't ever gonna grow. Like, you're gonna continue to be in the same position you in. You're never gonna be able to be wealthy if you can't hold yourself accountable. Or if you can't take constructive criticism, because some of us get sensitive when we start talking about our flaws. When people start being able to see us and see the flaws that we have, some people get real sensitive when you start telling the truth, or when they know they're not doing what they're supposed to do. I'm even a victim of that. Sometimes you don't like to hear the stuff you're not good at. Sometimes you don't like to talk about the stuff you're not successful at, because all of us have talents and gifts and areas. All of us have some strengths and some weaknesses. And so sometimes we don't like to look at our weaknesses. We don't like to be exposed like that. We don't like to be that vulnerable. And so sometimes you have to become comfortable in being vulnerable and being willing to address those things despite what they are. The damage is what it is. It's not going to change until you do something to change it.
I totally agree. I totally agree. And I was having that conversation with myself earlier. I was actually looking through my bank account, and I noticed some things on there to where you have to watch these websites and stuff that you like, especially this AI stuff and everything. I've been like studying AI and programming and prompting AI to create certain images and just things where I want to upgrade the show and upgrade like some of the new material content and stuff that I come out with. So you'll go on their site, right, and then they'll give you like a free trial, 7-day free trial or 14-day free trial.
Mm-hmm.
But they're obligating you, like they're going to automatically enroll. They're telling you they're going to automatically enroll you in a subscription when this thing is over with.
Oh yeah.
So I'm going through my bank account earlier, and about 3 or 4 AI companies have taken their their monthly subscription out of my account. And that's something that that's one of that's one of my weaknesses is like I'm always trying new technology and stuff like that. And even with Shopify, I was on my website, and then and also on Spotify, and I noticed that if you on Spotify you can connect a Shopify account, because I didn't have a way for you to be able to buy my merch directly from Spotify. Like I want it to be like if you listen to my music and you digging it, you can buy some merch from there. Hats, t-shirts, all that. So I was like, okay, so they don't accept, because all my stuff is through Amazon. I have an Amazon merch store. So they didn't accept Amazon, but they do accept a Shopify account. So I go over to Shopify, and I just start, that's me. I jump in, like y'all said earlier. I take the risk. I jumped in, filled out all the information, got my Shopify thing going and everything. And I don't know. I must have told them that I must have signed one of those those agreements. They told me like maybe they said the first 30 days are free or something, because I'm scrolling through my bank statement earlier, and there it is, Shopify. They've taken out more than I would have liked them to. You know what I'm saying?
Shopify got you in that 360 deal.
They got me in a 360 deal. Yeah. But yeah, that's why this resonates with me like so much, because I was just having that conversation with myself. And a matter of fact, I went on some of those sites and I unsubscribed, and it hurt me too. I was like, it hurt my feelings to hit unsubscribe on some of them. You know what I'm saying? But that's just one of my weaknesses. I'm a techie. You know what I'm saying? But they're not about to, they'll
about to get
if
you
you
like
don't
that.
pay attention. I'm sure everybody, probably the average person who's watching right now, have subscriptions coming out of their accounts that they've forgotten about.
Yeah.
And then something, and they go in and they just don't look at it. Like Ryan was just saying, they don't look at it and they don't go through it. You have to be willing to go through the last month or the last few months or something. You'll start seeing stuff. Oh yeah, I forgot. I had Disney Channel, and I don't even, nobody in here watched Disney Channel. You know what I'm saying? You're like, but they done took out $29.99, out of my account without me even knowing. So that's a really, really, really great one, man. Know where your money is going. And because you could be subscribed to things that you don't even know that you're subscribed to. You might be losing money that you didn't even, you're not even noticing it, because it's happening only like once a month, and it's happening, you don't see it. So it's just, yeah. But
and it could be a small amount. It could be like I said, a $10 app here, a $9 subscription. Look, Google storage for your domains. That's like $9.99. But if you got 5 of them, you know what I'm saying, that could be And then some of those subscriptions make it that much harder for you to cancel. You got to jump through hoops to cancel some things sometimes.
They hide. Like you go on their site and you just can't find the cancel area. They have it hidden in there.
That's what they're banking on. They are banking on, especially with the free trials. They're not banking on you being like, hey, this is a cool application, let me keep it. They're banking on you forgetting it exists. And they just gonna keep taking the money out month after month after month. So my suggestion would be for anybody who's watching who maybe is trying to get their situation together in terms of maybe they have the same issue with subscriptions. If I do a 30-day free trial, I set a 30-day reminder on my calendar on the 28th day to remind me that this thing is coming up due again. And if I don't want to keep it and have them charge me again, I set that alarm to go off on the 28th day so I can remind myself to go ahead and decide on whether I want to keep it or cancel it. And then if it is an app that you do feel like you want to keep, but maybe you're not in position to have right now, maybe you're not getting the most usage out of it, you can always, most of them will either, if you go cancel it, either they'll put you on like on the 30 to 90 day hold on the account sometimes. Or if you had the app and you want to get rid of it, sometimes they'll give you a discount to keep it. So it'll go from maybe $20 a month, they'll give you 3 months free. Or they'll give you 3 months at a very severe discounted rate. Yeah. If you cancel it. So you want to make sure you are at least aware of what's going on with your bank account, because to be fair, banks also have fees that you may not be aware of that they just take out $3 here, $2 here. And if you're not looking at your statement, you could be getting got. Identity theft is a real thing. So somebody could be siphoning money out of your account. Same thing with your credit report. You got to be aware of what's on your credit report. Make sure nobody's scamming your name or anything like that. It's just all about being aware of what's going on with you, because if something does happen, you want to know what it is so you can go handle it. So you can walk into the bank and say, hey, this transaction was not mine. We need to get this situated. But if you didn't look at your bank account and you finally check it because somebody told you to, and it's 4 months later, you're not getting that money back.
It's over with.
Exactly. And those subscriptions, you got to times them by 12 too. So yeah, like you said, they might only be taking $10 a month, but that's for a year. Multiply that by a year. That's $120 that is going to something that you're not even utilizing.
Yeah, you make yourself feel guilty.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, times that by 5. Let's say you got 5 subscriptions. They're all $10 a piece. Now multiply that by 12.
That's a lot of money, and you find yourself in a situation where you're going to start, like we talked about earlier. You are looking at, man, I'm going to Starbucks every day. I'm going to McDonald's every day. Every time I go to the grocery store, I'm buying my kid this $3 to $5 item, maybe even this $10 item, and you feel guilty because you feel like you're correlating that spending with the reason why maybe you don't have as much money as you should. When in reality, if you look at your bank statement, you will realize that you're paying for subscriptions that you don't even use anymore. And your $150 a month in subscriptions is the reason you don't have as much money as you thought. And then don't let them come out at the wrong time where you down to your last, and all of a sudden that Apple come out. Oh, that 99 Apple come out at the worst time.
Yeah.
So you have to be aware of what's going on with your account to be able to get ahead of things.
Yeah. Yep.
Then we wrap it up here. Number 9.
Uh-oh.
Last one here. And this one, we're gonna leave with some positivity here. I named this one the extra side. So when I say the extra side, I use the example. And I use myself. This is when I knew, and there's 2 different scenarios when I knew that I was in a better financial situation than I had ever thought I would be in. And as simple as it's going to sound, this is when I knew that I had made it. It wasn't necessarily the cars. It wasn't, anything like that. This was very early on when I knew, okay, now we're getting somewhere. And I always use 2 examples. One, when I took my family out to a restaurant and you look at the menu, of course, you got appetizers, you got entrees, maybe they got steak and lobster, maybe they got steak, maybe they got chicken breast, maybe they got salmon. I knew I had made it partially to where I wanted to be when I was able to comfortably look at that menu and be like, you know what? Instead of Well, if I want the steak, but I also want the fish, those are two separate things. So they're going to upcharge me. Essentially, I'm going to have to pay for two different plates of entrees because these two things, of course, don't come together. And I was like, you know what? I want it. And I got it. So when I say the extra side, I mean just instead of you haggling over the extra $5, $10 that they're going to charge you for that extra side or that extra entree or that extra dessert, just get it. That's not going to be the reason why you're not rich. That's not going to be the reason why you can't get to where you're trying to go. There are a lot of other more important and larger decisions that you make in life on a daily basis. And it's not that $1.99 soda that you got from the gas station on your way home. So when I say the extra side, I mean just that. I mean, don't haggle so much on the smaller things. Don't haggle so much on the $2.99 items, because I guarantee you, if you said, you know what, I'm going to not spend that $3 like I was before, and 30 days went by, and I asked you at the end of that 30 days what you did with that money that you saved from not spending that $2.99, you wouldn't be able to tell me. You wouldn't know where it went. So if you don't know where it went and you're not putting it to use to increase your income, you might as well spend the $3 to $5 for something that keeps you going, something that motivates you, something that makes you feel good. Just some small appreciation for yourself and all the work that you are putting in. Because if you start to take away all of the small things that make us feel good over time, you're going to be left with a person who can't enjoy life. You're going to be left with a person who can't enjoy the fruits of their labor. So, and that's what I mean when I say the extra side. Stop haggling over getting whether you usually get one thing or the next if it's a small thing in value, and just get both. Instead of getting one t-shirt, he's like, I want to get the 4-pack of Hanes t-shirts, but I can only get the pack. Just get the pack. It's not going to make that much of a difference if you just get the pack. It may even save you money in the long run. Don't haggle over, well, I'm going to get the quarter tank of gas, or I can't tell you the last time I looked at a gas price. I don't even look at gas prices no more. And that's not even a flex about money or how much money you have. I'm just in position where I'm not trying to save 7 cents. 7 cents is not going to help your problem. So you driving past the gas station to find one that's 3 cents cheaper, it's not helping your situation. So that's what I mean by the extra side. Stop focusing on the small things that don't matter, that matter to you because you're trying to make yourself feel like you're actually accomplishing something by avoiding the large things. You think you're doing something because you feel good because you saved $5. But your real problem is the fact that you bought that $80 shirt and didn't go nowhere. Or you went somewhere with that $80 shirt because you bought the $80 shirt, and now you feel like you got to go out to the club and show this $80 shirt. So now you got to go out to the club and spend to get the VIP and to skip the line, and you got to get the bottle. And now you didn't turn that $80 into $360, and now you're wondering why you can't pay your light bill. Stop worrying about the small stuff and worry about the big stuff.
Man, this is a good one.
Yeah, I like that one, man, because, and I think unless you've gotten to a point to where like you go to a restaurant and you don't look at the menu for cost, but you look at the menu for satisfaction and desire. Like until you experience that, I think it's kind of hard to understand like that level of like, okay, cool. I'm in a position now where it's like I'm not even looking at the prices on this. I'm just looking at what I want to eat today. I came in here with a desire to get a lobster roll with fries, but I also want to get, the shrimp, the bang bang shrimp as an appetizer, and then I want to get that cheesecake for dessert. And y'all order whatever y'all ordering. You know what I'm saying? Like that's also comes with a level of freedom that I don't think people understand. Like that's a level of freedom to walk into a place and the first thing you think about is how I'm going to enjoy the meal, and not about, well, I need to watch what I get so I can make sure I don't go over X number of dollars.
Yes, it is about wealth is about, which is a perfect ending point. Wealth is about money, but wealth is even rich. It's also about freedom.
Yeah.
The reason why we want so much money is to be able to buy our time back and to have freedom to do the things that we desire.
Yeah.
I've been here because I've been through some very rough times before things started to work out for me.
Yeah.
There are very few feelings like being able to go to the grocery store and not have to check your account before you check out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Until you are able to have that feeling, and there's somebody who's watching right now who not necessarily, that doesn't mean you don't go in there with a budget.
Yeah.
Because you want to be organized.
Yeah.
But not having there's not a, and I've been here. There's some bad feelings out here. But one thing that made me feel inferior was having to put stuff back at the grocery store because it was over the number that I actually had in my account. I didn't even have the option to decide on whether I wanted it or not. That's completely different. If I got money in my account and I go to the grocery store and I'm like, you know what, I don't really need this, I'm gonna put it back. That's very different than, oh, I have to put it back because if I don't put it back, I'm gonna overdraw, or this transaction might not even go through. So you get all the way to the front and you're watching her ring these items up, and you seeing that total go up, and you see it go up, and now you're trying to guess to see. You looking to your left and you trying to see how many items you got left. And you looking to your right and you trying to see what the total is. You trying to do the math on how much this is going to cost you so you can stop her before she gets to that last item to put you over the top, because you don't want to ask her to take it off when she give you the total because you would be embarrassed. That is an awkward situation to be in, and that is a situation that I feel like nobody should want to or should be in that position to feel that. And one of the ways we can get that way or get out of that scenario, you don't need $1 million for that. You just need to have basic financial responsibilities and then add money on top of it. And I assure you, if you can go with your family to the restaurant and tell them to get what they want, and we're going to get that dessert, or you can go to the grocery store and get what you want in that basket. And if you go over, it's cool. It's not different between you being able to pay your light bill or not. It's not the difference between you and an overdrafted account. It's not the difference between you and being able to take your kids somewhere on the weekend. That is something that changes your entire outlook on how money is spent, how money is made, and how much money it takes for you to be happy.
And I think I know this is the last point, but I think this goes back to the point you made earlier. Like, this is why you have to have that plan so that you can, when you get to the place you want to be, or you're at the place that you desire to be, it's not, you're not looking at, because I really feel like somebody could look at kind of like, oh, well, you made it, Ryan. You're at where you want to be. You're experiencing what you want to experience. I'm still at this level. And I think if people would focus on the plan for the level, then you could be experiencing the same happiness, the same peace, the same enjoyment, right? That we just talking about here, casually talking about. Like, you could be experiencing that in the space that you're in the place that you're in, because none of us are at the same level. Like, we're all at different levels, but we all have an experience that we're like, man, when I got here, I knew I had taken a step up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? When I walked in this store and I didn't have to get the Walmart brand, or I didn't have to get the Kroger brand, and like I got the name brand, I ain't even caring about if it's going down the same manufacturing line or not. I'm not even making a description. What I'm saying is I bought the thing that I saw on TV, and I didn't even have to think about it. Like, we've all reached another level where it was like, I'm no longer having to worry about that thing anymore, right? I'm no longer having to worry about my car getting declined because I know what's in there, and I know it's supposed to be there, and I know it's going to be there. And so, like, that's what, when I hear this, that's what I really take away from it, man. When you reach a point to where you're like, man, you know what? I don't even have to worry about that no more. Like, I go to the gas tank now, I put the premium in there because the car takes the premium. The car's supposed to have the premium, so I'm putting the 93 in there. And I'm not even thinking about, well, what if I just put the 87 in there because that's $2? That premium is like $3.50. I'm gonna take my chances putting an 87 in there when really the car's supposed to have premium, or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all can get to levels where it feels like I'm not worrying about that side stuff anymore. I can get the side now. I I ain't worried about it. I can get the side now. Y'all can get what y'all want now, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think everybody can get to that point. And I think you can get to that point at every level. Like, you don't have to be a millionaire to experience that. And I think that's what you've been trying to impress all night. Like, you don't have to be a millionaire to experience wealth. Like, you don't have to be that. Like, wealth is defined by what you want it to be. Like, it doesn't have to be what somebody else's has. It can be what you want to be. And I think this is a great example of we all gonna get to a point to where it's like, man, I don't have to do that anymore. Like, I can go in here and do whatever I want to do now in this one space, in this one thing, because this is where I was once struggling at. But now I've built the wealth that I don't even have to worry about this anymore. I'm just shink. Or
Definitely.
If you me, I'm just tapping.
Definitely. I think, man, I got a few points about this, man. For one, Biggie said birthdays was the worst days. Now we sip champagne when we thirsty. So shout out to Biggie. He would agree with this point also. But I read a book called The Way of the Superior Man. And it's an abundance mindset. If you run around penny pinching and you're just like, oh, I'm so worried about this penny and I'm so worried about spending that penny, then I think what's going to happen is that, like, you're going to be like, things that happen to you are going to leave you always feeling that way, and you're not going to, like, abundance is going to miss you. The mentality of like walking into a store saying, how much is that? They say if you have to ask how much it is, then you can't afford it. So I've gotten to the point to where I don't ask how much anything is anymore. Like you said, Ryan, like I'm gonna get that side. I just go in there and say, hey, give me the side. You know what I'm saying? And while you at it, go ahead and throw that dessert in there too, because the mentality, an abundance mindset leads to more abundance. By you carrying yourself this way and having this attitude, you're going to be more on the lookout for more abundance. Like, you're going to see opportunities like that aren't really like that everybody else can't see. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be thinking in a new light. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the crypto and stuff like that. Like, back then, if I had that mindset when we were talking about the crypto earlier, and I had the abundance mindset back then, I would have been like, you know what? It's only $10, $20 a share. You know what I'm saying? Shoot, let me just grab it just cause. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people did, because they had the abundance mindset. But at the time, I was probably thinking like, shoot, man, I better keep my $20. That's $20 is a lot. I could take that and do something, and go to the club tonight and party, or something. And that's what I did. But then the person who had that abundance mindset at that point in time, they were like, you know what, I'm just going to grab some of it. It might not do nothing, but you know what I'm saying? But I see it as a possible opportunity. They were thinking the glass is half full. I was thinking the glass is half empty.
Mm-hmm.
So I totally feel, this point. Definitely get the side, get the side chick if it come with it,
Remember, see, this is what happened last time. This is what happened last time.
We do this every month. I'm just tripping. I'm just keeping it hip hop. But but yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Like, it's a mindset. It's an abundance mindset that you have to keep, even if you aren't making the exact amount of money that you want to make at this point. Carry yourself as if you are. Speak it into existence. Speak the abundance into existence. Have the mindset that things are going to be okay. That you're going to eventually get your credit score up. You're going to eventually, your money's going to go up. So that's going to lead to like more positive vibe coming from you every day. You're not running around, you're not walking around with your head down. You're walking around with your head up high. and you'll just like if with your head down, you won't see any opportunities, but with your head up high, you'll see all the opportunities. So yes,
Facts.
abundance mindset, man.
Facts. There's another episode in the books.
Man, listen.
Man, this
was
I
good.
love the concepts that you came up with this time. I can't wait to hear the next ones. I can't wait to hear the next what you come up with next. Because people, if they were watching this show, man, it's some jewels was dropped, man. Some gems been dropped on this show.
Yeah.
So I hope they run it back.
Yep. And I'm gonna start uploading the podcast to Spotify and stuff too, y'all.
Okay.
We got so many episodes, man. It's gonna take me a minute to upload each one of them. I think we're over like 100 and something episodes. I don't know where we are, but we have so many.
Make the noise for that. Make the noise for that.
Man, yeah. I didn't realize it was that many.
Right, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Thanks, y'all. We're going on this is our third year. And I feel like, we should expand it on over to like, where it's listening only, where it doesn't have to be like video. People might be on Spotify and want to hear it. People might listen to their podcast on iTunes. I'm gonna put it on, have it out there for the world, man, just in case. You know what I'm saying? You just never know who's listening, and you know what I'm saying? And we might get some opportunities from that.
Yeah.
But it's gonna take a while because I gotta upload. I'm going from 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna upload them in order.
Yeah, it's fine. Take your time. We'll get there. Anybody got any parting words for the audience?
Here we go. We always let the guests kick off the parting words first.
Okay. Well, look. First off, everybody for watching. Thank you so much if you're still here. Thank you for joining us. I hope my goal and my hope is that you take something from this conversation that we have had and it affects you in a positive way in your life and you are able to make the changes that you want to see. Of course, I will leave a link with Mr. Jelks and if you are looking for a clarity coach session, specifically, if anybody interested in what that is, clarity, when we're looking for clarity, we're essentially looking for a clear thought process and essentially a clear thought process to try to figure out what our plan of action is going to be. I know a lot of times it's not the fact that we don't have the resources. It's just the fact that we don't know where those resources are, or there's some mental hurdles that we are trying to jump over to try to get to the next level before we even get to the part about money or assets. So what we do in the coaching sessions is that we have a conversation that have different varieties. And we try to figure out what's holding you back, what your biggest fear is, what resources do you need to find in order to get where you're trying to go, and we get you on the right path. I am fair, but I'm also firm. So if you come with information that sounds like you lying to yourself, I will tell you that you lying to yourself because I feel like most people need to hear that in order to get where they're trying to go. Because the higher up you get, the thinner the air gets, like O said earlier. So you need to be aware of that. But coaching calls are available. I will have Mr. Jelks post the link if you do, and let's have a conversation. Let's try to figure out how we can get you to the point you're trying to get to and get those mental roadblocks out of the way. My last thing would be, y'all, I do want to end this, and I'm gonna try to end it every month with a book suggestion because I do feel like all of us need to read more, even if it's just whether you get an Audible account or whether you read the actual book. I want to leave you with some of the books that personally have helped me along the way throughout this journey, not only financially, but otherwise. And the first one I do want to mention is called The Paradox of Choice by Barry Schwartz. That's Barry Schwartz, The Paradox of Choice. And to break that book down, I will use the example that they use in the book. When you go into the clothing store and they have a variety of different kinds of jeans, boot cut, straight, skinny, baggy, all different kinds. And the book is basically about the fact that we have so many options these days that it essentially freezes us in our ability to choose anything. So we have so many options, we end up not choosing anything. It's like going to the grocery store and you're thirsty. You have so many options to choose from to quench that thirst that you focus more time on trying to figure out which one you want than actually just grabbing one and feeling that thirst. So the book is mainly about how to handle those moments what causes those moments, so you can focus more on the action part of your life and less on the decision-making part of your life. So once again, that's one I would tell people to start with. The Paradox of Choice by Barry Schwartz. That's it for me.
I'm checking that out ASAP. I love reading.
Man, I don't think it's nothing left to say, man. It was a great show, man. You know, it was a great show. I don't think it was nothing else to say, man. I think tonight you gave some great suggestions on what can help people build wealth. The only thing that I'll leave with is, that I talked about tonight, you know, wealth is what you make it. It's what you want it to be. And so sometimes we have to take a real assessment of where we are and where we want to be and what's realistic for us and plan from there. But man, I can't wait till next month, man. This was good.
I'm lit. Like you got me motivated, man. Like you sure I might not even leave the studio. I might crank up a beat and make a song after this about some money. Nah, but man, it's always a pleasure to have you on, cuz man, you're such a blessing to the show. We're looking forward to next month for the next Wealthy Wednesdays. Looking forward to it. You know, in the meantime, you know, I'm going to be like, you know, just trying to find more ways to make the show hotter, make the show doper. You know what I'm saying? Just blow it up like I thought I was. They did another Biggie line. I'm blowing up like I thought I was.
Biggie line.
All right, man. But we're looking forward to it, y'all. Every fourth Wednesday, we have Wealthy Wednesdays with Ryan Henning. You'll see the promotions, and you know I put commercials out and all that. Man, I run my social media like a real channel, like a real TV show. Like, and you know, I even thought about, man, I might even name myself the Memphis Jelks Show for real, because like my life is a show. Like it's a damn show. It's a movie. All right, man. So shoot, with that being said, y'all, we'll see y'all next time, man. We out. Much love.
Peace.
Squad up, haters down. If you ain't about that life, don't come around. Got the crowd, gone wild. Tell me what you know about that Mem style.